a lot of Westerners will take away the agency of protesters around the world by just designating them color revolutions. Do you guys see this footage out of China of protesters engaging with people who oppose their protests, saying that these protesters basically being accused by, oh, you're color revolution, you know, this, you guys are being manipulated by foreign forces. And so the protesters in China responded, saying, what foreign forces are you talking about? Marx and Engels. Listen to this. This is an insane interaction. Very interesting. My goodness, this is some crazy footage. I want to ask you, what foreign forces are you talking about? Are they Marx and Engels? Is it Stalin? Is it Lenin? I want to say to you, I will always love my country. Also, I think the current policy has problems. I really do. So that's why. Don't change the subject. Think for yourself. Hello, can I ask, was it the foreign forces who started the fire in Xinjiang? Was the Guangzhou bus overturned by foreign forces? I totally agree with you, what you're saying. Was everyone told to come here by foreign forces? No. We can't even access the foreign internet. How are the foreign forces meant to be communicating with us? We only have domestic forces not allowing us to govern ourselves. Can we leave the country? Or can we go on the foreign internet? Neither. How are they meant to communicate with us? They can't. Where are the foreign forces? From the moon. We just want freedom. My goodness. What an interaction. And the thing is, there's a million different interactions happening like this throughout China right now at these protests, right? I can't highlight all of them. This is just a special one I wanted to highlight because it touches on something that I talk about a lot on this channel, and that is how a lot of Westerners will take away the agency of protesters around the world by just designating them color revolutions. Anytime an American official says, oh yes, well we support the protesters, then out of nowhere, all of those people don't believe what they believe because of, you know, the conditions they face on a daily basis, or because they've had negative consequences from the state policies of China, or it's all because America told them to do it. It isn't that they're free people choosing of their own free will to make a statement against the Communist Party. It's because foreign evil forces, you communicate with them, I don't know, we don't need to provide evidence that the CIA did this, or that the State Department did that, or that there was funneling of weapons, or funneling of this, we don't need to prove that. No, we don't. We just need to say it's a color revolution so we can pretend that this isn't an issue that actually deserves to be heard, and we can ignore people who criticize the Chinese government. And this is a direct example of these protesters having to engage with that on the ground. How toxic and how much dribble comes from that idea. Nonsense. And that directly takes away these people's agency. Do you think these people went out on the street for me, or some other Westerner, or somebody in DC? Or do you think they went on the street because they care about the future of China? They care about being able to get a job. They care about being able to visit their family. They care about any of these things. Or they care about government mismanagement when it came to the fire that killed 10 people in Xinjiang. And there's concerns that it was the lockdown that didn't allow people to come out. Oh, the evidence isn't clear yet. We're still waiting for more info to come out. But these are natural concerns people are going to have. And so to just say that it was all the foreigners that did this. There's no embassy in Xinjiang. I don't know, like, what does that mean? Did the foreigners cause the fire? Was it the American government that killed those 10 people? Or was it a slow governmental response and possibly a lockdown? We don't know yet. And we're still waiting for the information to clear up. But we gotta stop just assuming that every time a protest happens in the world, in a nation that isn't allied with the United States, that we just assume it's a color revolution. Could you imagine if every time a Black Lives Matter protest happened, I just said, China did it, Russia did it, I don't know, yeah, there's no problem with black people like being mistreated by police in this country. Russia did this, China did it. That's not to say that there isn't some historical precedent that Russia has tried to interfere with American domestic politics. They have actively, through the Internet Regents Agency, spread misinformation. But to take that truth, or the truth that the United States has meddled in other countries before, to take that truth and extend it to all of these protesters are color revolutionaries, ignore them, it's all a color revolution, remove their agency, remove what they believe, remove their ability to have an impact on their own country. It's all fake, it's all nonsense, fuck you. To do that off of that piece of information is dishonest, it's toxic, and it removes their agency. And I want to see people stop doing it. And we need to stop respecting people who do it. One of the worst examples was after the revolution in Myanmar against the military coup that removed their democratically elected leader, Aung San Suu Kyi. I saw people from Gray Zone accusing that of being a color revolution. Why?
Burns is an
because the American government said they supported the protesters against the government. The protesters who were being murdered en masse by the same military that genocided the Rohingya Muslims. But they had to come out and play defense for that military junta. Why? Because the American government said something bad about them. I swear to God that if tomorrow, America said, you know what? Free Palestine, Israeli settlements out of the West Bank, there would be some people who would turn on the Palestinians. Not the majority, but there would be some people, out of virtue signaling reasons of just never aligning with the American position, they would immediately, on a dime, turn on the Palestinians. Say, oh, Palestinians? Huh, more like CIA. Immediately. Watch. It happens all these times. It's happened so much with these foreign conflicts. Myanmar was, I think, one of the worst examples of this, because in Myanmar, we're not even, like, sending the rebels anything. We're not sending guns. We're not sending large amounts of money to rebels. We're really not, there's no evidence whatsoever. There's not even suspicion that we're doing that. Even though I don't even think that would be a bad thing for the United States to do. But because we applied sanctions on some military companies which are directly murdering protesters, all of a sudden now the protests are bad. It almost makes me think, like, if America was to, like, just completely reverse its position on, like, all these conflicts, would they just all of a sudden be, like, the biggest fans of Israel, the biggest fans of Ukraine, the biggest fans of all these governments, of Japan, of Taiwan? It makes me think that a lot of these people don't come from a position of principle, but just come out of a position of wanting to virtue signal and be special in American politics, because they're the ones that are, like, lambasting American foreign policy. And American foreign policy needs to be criticized in Yemen. It needs to be criticized when it comes to the West Bank and our supporting of Israel through those settlements. It has to be critical on our ignoring of what happened to Jamal Khashoggi. There's a million things we need to be critical of when it comes to American foreign policy. Throwing the people of Western Sahara under the bus for Israel and normalizing relations with Morocco, even though the UN said that those people deserve the vote. There's a million things to be critical of. But now we see people once again coming out of the woodwork to criticize protesters who have no relationship with the CIA that has been proven or shown evidently. But they're color revolutionaries because they stand against their favorite dictator, G. It's virtue signaling. It doesn't come from a system of values. It comes from wanting to look better than everyone else. And in the process of doing that, they remove the agency from thousands of people. And it's pretty gross, man. It's pretty gross.